Hello, Professor. This is my second part two of two of my oral presentation. This answers the second question we have for the oral presentation. And the question is, how does the formula of Christine's metaphorical City of the Ladies assist us in resisting chivalry that has been updated as polite sexism for the 21st century and make a world a more inclusive space by treating women as equals? If we break up Christine's formula, you will be able to come out a better person by being able to understand what exactly women have gone through throughout history. For example, having to work twice as hard to prove themselves at work, the grueling, hostile sexism they have had to overcome at least once in their lives. And next, you'll be able to live in cities ruled by women, which essentially means that being able to understand how countries that are run by women are different than men in a good way. As women know the hardships they must go through to prove themselves, and with a city run by women, the hardships they went through turns into knowledge and helps them eradicate the problems that shine on the snares that don't see the light of day. And what I mean by this is women go through so much. They are one of in the population right now, women over are populated way more than men, a ratio of 2 to 1. But yet we still treat women as they're lesser than men, as slight sexism, whether that be very slight or very seen throughout the world. It's terrible. Women work so hard to prove themselves to men, just work so hard to prove themselves to men, just for them to not even be on the same playing field, as that is totally unokay for these times that women have worked their butts off and should be seen as equal. They should not be seen as anything else. They should be seen as the same as men and should not be seen as just a wife or a partner. They should be seen as their own human being who can work as just as hard as men and accomplish just as much and or greater than the man before them. And breaking up her formula into different pieces, her third section would be to defend women's rights. As it states in the summation video by Dr. Elja, he states, women's rights are human rights, basically saying that women are just as equal to everybody else and should never be treated any different and celebrated the same as everybody else. By what that means is, like sports, we can take example for women's pay is dramatically less. Like, let's take soccer for example. The men's U.S. Soccer League gets paid way more than women's, but the women's have a way more viewing rate, also have a way more bigger win rate than compared to the men, which is totally unfair. They work their butts off to be in like championships and all this kind of stuff, but yet they're still not on the same playing field as the men. The men get paid so much more compared to them, and they deserve to have the same pay or greater than, since they accomplished so much. Women had to work twice as hard, as we already stated, to just prove themselves that they're better or just even equal to as men. And lastly, the next section is to free yourself in safe places, which means that you should be able to find a place where you don't feel ridiculed or put down, or should be able to find a safe place where you are not judged and where you are safe and able to express yourself however you want and be able to feel free. You shouldn't be locked up in a place where you feel ridiculed or judged because you're of opposite gender. There's no reason for that. Women, like I said, I've been stating, women are just as equal as men and can accomplish just as same. We go hand in hand and we should not be separate. We should all be on the same playing field. And for that, it's so important to find a safe place where you don't feel judged, where you can talk about your feelings, open up and talk about your emotions. You don't have to keep them bottled up. And because eventually, if you keep them bottled up, that bottle explodes. And you want to have a safe place to express how you feel and to talk. Communication's everything, and so to have a safe place to talk and be able to feel non-judged is so important. And I love this aspect of Christian formula and how it offers such an open-minded place to just be you. So in conclusion, Christian Pizans was a pioneer for women's rights and a big women's rights activist for her time. During this time, she went against the normal ideas of women just being a partner to a man. She went against that to say that women are their own person. She would be treated as such. Also, in her time, she would voluntarily give advice to women who seek and help with work or relationships, or even go out through how to go out through their day. As a part as one of the first women of her time to speak up for women's rights, she paved the way for today's time. And without her brave and noble acts, who never would be today. What I'm trying to say by this is Christine Pizan has paved the way for women's rights. She stood up against the normal of her time. She talked about how women are more than just objects, apparently. She gave out advice to women, and she stuck against the norm that women are objects and women are their own person, which they completely are. They go hand in hand with men, and they should not be seen as any less than men, as they're on the same equal and playing field. And with that, she also gave advice to other women who also wanted to learn more. As Christian Bazan spent most of her time educating herself, reading books, poems about women's rights and how it's so important. And she educated the other women or other women around her, or even asked about advice or anything. She educated them on how they are so much more than just the wife of their husband. They are their own person who can accomplish their own goals and aspirations and do anything they want. They just needed the advice that, and Christine gave it to them, and she was a great pioneer for her time, and I believe she is one of the greatest activists for women's rights, and she had paved the way for us. And without her, who knows where we'd be at? And that is my submission for my oral part two. Thank you so much.